Oil is an inevitability. Ask a biologist, they'll tell you. We are subject to stressors. Circumstantial stressors, physical stressors, interpersonal stressors, and mental stressors. We evolve the ability to perceive each of these stressors as a survival mechanism. We ignore these stressors at our peril. Feeling stress is not an indictment. There are people who would say it is, but they're mistaken. The Buddha taught in the Anapanasati Sutta, taught these 7 enlightenment factors. The first being mindfulness. If we're busy repressing our experience, we're not practicing mindfulness. Despite the ravings of self-help teachers or some ministers, it's not our job to select our emotions, to choose gratitude, to choose joy, to choose serenity. Choosing our emotions indulges our yang tendencies, our tendencies to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, cryptic, and cruel. Being controlling can take us many places, but peace is not one of them. Although we cannot select our emotions, we can process them. Whether those emotions are glorious or grotesque, whether they are subtle or they are coarse. So, as I've mentioned previously, I am disabled. I am neurodivergent. I am both ADHD and autistic. With both my ADHD and autism have been exacerbated by fetal alcohol syndrome and myalgic encephalomyelitis. A symptom of the above is PDA, or pathological demand avoidance. So in other words, when my autonomy is threatened, I triggers our fight and flight response. And so I woke up about 2 o'clock in this morning with a triple whammy. My sinus infection was on tilt. I developed an additional thrush infection, and a supplement representative I was corresponding with was stonewalling me. And those really pushed my autism buttons. And so I was furious. And I'll show you the techniques I used this morning to get a grip on it. Things that 30 or 40 years ago I did not know how to do. And consequently, my torment was multiplied then. Now, I have the exact same symptom set, but I'm better at dealing with it now because I've learned these tools. And whether you are neurotypical or neurodivergent, these tools can help. The first is mindfulness. Now, contrary to popular convention, mindfulness is not concentration. Active concentration is an act of rigidity, is a form of indulging our controlling tendencies. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to perceive and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. We could notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We could notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, imaginings, and confabulations. We could notice the external or the internal, the physical or the mental, the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. So if everything is hunky-dory, during each inhalation, silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this could be a rather efficient way of practicing mindfulness. If you're experiencing a modicum of turmoil, you may want to switch from the one-syllable version to the three-syllable version. As we breathe in, notice this, and as you'll notice that the more syllables we use, the deeper our breaths. And so you can probably guess where I'm going here. If we are just experiencing an extraordinary amount of turmoil, we want to switch from the three-syllable practice to the 12-syllable practice, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Now, this is rather sophisticated. This comes from Dzogchen, and I'd like to elaborate for you. Both, both Mahasandhi and Mahasandhi and Mahamudra traditions are no stranger to the idea of mind only. And here's how it works. It is our mind that perceives. It is our mind that emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. And so we have very little control over the circumstantial, the physical, and the personal. But mind is right up our alley. Mind is that 3-pound fleshy computer between our ears. So whether we're using the one-syllable, the three-syllable, or the 12-syllable version, we are noticing to some degree, we are noticing as best we can, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, during each inhalation. Now, the intelligent question is, what do we do with all this stuff that we noticed? And that's where meditation comes in. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So if everything's hunky-dory, a very convenient way of practicing meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Now, life is not always a bowl of cherries. If there is a modicum of turmoil, I recommend the three-syllable exercise, which would be relaxing. Relaxing and ease are synonyms. As long as ease is when ease is considered a verb, then these two are synonymous. Now, if you're under a mondo degree of stress, you may want to consider using the 12-syllable version, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Now, does that mean we have to believe mind is non-graspable? No. Every time we breathe out, we are wired to physically relax and mentally release, as if that which we noticed during our previous inhalation was utterly non-graspable, as if the mind that was noticing during our inhalation was utterly non-graspable. I'm very grateful to Tuku Kondro, who taught me this technique of relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. And I'm very grateful to Tuku Tandup, who taught me to perceive the turbulent play of mind. I would absolutely love it if I was so absolutely brilliant that I made this shit up. But sadly, I'm not. I've had very good teachers, and I'm passing what they taught me on to you. Now, do I absolutely want you to take me on blind faith? Oh, hell no. I want you to practice with me together as a team and to experiment with these techniques. If you experiment with these techniques for about 5 minutes or so, every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days, you'll get a good reading on how these techniques affect your body and mind. If after 7 days of working with me twice a day, live or via video, and if you get crankier and more anxious, then you know I kind of suck, not in a fun, tingly way. However, if after working with me twice a day for about 5 minutes for 7 consecutive days, if you have an increase in peace, an increase in resiliency, an increase in love, then perhaps you've stumbled upon something that is helpful. I'm going to take a moment to check for questions. I don't see any questions right now. I think it could be quite beneficial if together as a team we chanted the Wednesday morning excerpt of the Song of Enlightenment, written many, many centuries ago by Yung Jieshuan Jue, translated by Red Pine, and then adapted as well as amplified by yours truly. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, their application, or Buddhist chanting, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Once the meditation begins, I will check for questions approximately once every 8 or 9 minutes. I travel great rivers, cross mountains and streams, seeking teachers and masters to better understand meditation. Ever since taking the Tsao River road, I have discovered life and death have no hold on me. The author of this text explains that after great effort, he received the teachings and so mastered them that he was freed from the tyranny of dread and desire, the mark of enlightenment attained. Together. Walking is meditation, sitting is meditation, speaking or silent, moving or still, I am at peace. Even at night point I remain unmoved, even poison does not affect me. Before my teacher met Dipankara, he spent kalpas and Kshanti as Kshanti the ascetic. That's tough to pronounce. The author has sliced the tyranny of hope and fear through mastering the instructions of the Buddha. How many births, how many deaths, births and deaths go on without end. Ever since realizing that nothing is born, I treat fame and shame the same. As we relax into our exhalation, all that seemed quite permanent during our inhalation can now feel as fleeting and non-graspable as a season, a full moon, a sunset, a breath, or even that which has yet to come into existence. As we relax into our exhalation, both the shame and fame which had conventionally seemed so very different during our inhalation can now feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, rendering them of the same taste in their ultimate aspect. The key to enlightenment is being vulnerable to duality as we breathe in, and to relax into their single non-graspable nature as we breathe out together. I moved to a mountain and found a quiet place, deep and secluded beneath tall pines. An outsider monk, I enjoy sitting still, living apart and settled, I am truly at peace. The wise find practice far more fulfilling than mere accolades. Anyone awake knows there's nothing to do. In a world of conditioned things, however, it is different. Giving alms for a better rebirth, one is still attached to form. You may well shoot an arrow into the sky. In our interdependent universe, we have a choice. Either strive to game the system in the hope of receiving that for which we yearn, or transcend both striving and the system, and instead slice through the tyranny of the fundamental duality of dread and desire. So we were just speaking about shooting an arrow in the sky. Its momentum spent, their arrow returns to earth, resulting in another disappointing life. Unlike the door to the real and unconditioned, once you step through, you are in the Buddha realm. In the unlikely event that we successfully game the system, even the greatest blisses are temporary and turn to stress. The irony is that each exhalation affords us the opportunity of transcendence. I look forward to meditating with you after less than a minute of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I've spent more than half my life studying, practicing, and reverse engineering all the teachings and techniques of each Buddhist sect, so that I could play the Qui-Gon Jinn to your Obi-Wan Kenobi, so that I could help you to quickly and easily become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. And now let's turn our attention to this morning's practice text. Yes, both the sadhana and the shastra that we use during the live streams are available for free download simply by clicking the link in the description area below the video. One moment. So remember, if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in the chat window. I check for questions approximately once every 8 or 9 minutes. Let's chant the recitations of empathetic bodhicitta, or mindset of enlightenment, and enthusiastic refuge. We'll start with the triplet chant. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on thee, Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We now perform the more concise bookend chant. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. What are the 3 jewels? 3 jewels are metaphors for the Buddha's example, the Buddha's instructions, the Buddha's students, which are fabulous resources. Together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. We have already gone through the meditation instructions during class. So, together, let us meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi on the toasty sands of Tatooine, under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. If at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, type your question in the chat window. I check for questions approximately once every 8 to 9 minutes. If your eyes are closed, this would be a good time to open them gently. Let us seal this morning's practice with a bit of the old chanting, beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the 4 immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness for the spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 10 and 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.